in one sentence, he said, you have testicular cancer, you will go through chemotherapy, and you will have surgery to have your testicle removed.
Yeah, so my friend Adam had testicular cancer. For whatever reason, we hadn't met up in a long time. He saw one of my videos, sent me a DM, told me he had testicular cancer. He put up a YouTube video, which was a Q&A, and I was like, let's do an interview. Let's put it on my channel. Let's get as many people to see it as possible, and let's spread awareness about testicular cancer. 180 people are diagnosed with it in Ireland every single year. Who knows how many people are diagnosed with it worldwide? So over the next 20 or so minutes, I'm going to leave all the timestamps in the description if you want to skip to specific parts, but we talk about everything from how he got diagnosed with testicular cancer, the treatment he had to go through, the side effects of all of that, where he is now, what he wants to do in the future, and any tips he'd have to young lads. Before it starts, give this a thumbs up so the YouTube algorithm will push it out there and more young lads can see it, because it's a super important message. And yeah, we'll catch up when the video's over.
Adam, what's up? Long time no see, bro.
How are we, man?
It's good. It's been 3 years since the last time I saw you. Do you know that?
Yeah, last time I was on the vlog.
Yeah. Yes, I guess as a bit of context, this conversation, we met 3 years ago when I first started vlogging. Long story short, I did my college experience video. You sent me a DM. You said that you got diagnosed with testicular cancer. And I was like, holy f***, I missed a load of stuff, didn't I? So pre-cancer, like, what were you up to? What were you interested in? And when did you first start noticing issues, I guess?
Yeah, so initially, I'm in college. I'm studying law in DCU. It's not going well. It's going okay. I'm in a repeat year, but we won't get into that. And I like photography and that kind of stuff. And basically, it was actually around this time last year. So a little bit before this time last year is when I felt a really sharp shooting pain up my groin. I said that in my video as well, which is, and I initially put it down to it, which is why I never thought much about it, or you never really looked into it, was the way I was sitting with my legs crossed, maybe. And that's why I just said, okay, it's nothing. It's not a huge issue. So then like a couple of months went by, and then it was around October of last year. So 2019 was when I had that sharp pain again, and it was the exact same thing. And it wasn't the way I was sitting. It was just normally. And that's when I kind of said, okay, this is a problem. This is, something is happening here. So that's when I felt the lump. So I kind of connected dots and kind of said they're probably linked. And then the story from there was that I went to the doctor, as we were told to do when we were younger, is, if you feel a lump, go get it checked out, get a second opinion. And he agreed with me. So that was in December is when I went to the doctor. I felt a lump. He felt a lump. So the lump that I felt was a cyst.
And where was this actually in your testicle, like, or was it in your groin?
So, no, this is on my testicle. It's where I don't even know what it's called anymore. I knew it before, but it's where your sperm cord is connected to your testicle. That's where the cyst was. But the doctor that diagnosed me and spoke me through it that wasn't the problem. And that was almost a blessing in disguise, because on the same side was a burnt out tumor, which is not like you can't feel that. And it was just almost a good thing that I had a cyst at the same time, and they kind of coincided, and it kind of like, all right, it's actually cancer in your body. So on Monday I had a blood test. So after they saw the burnt out tumor, they want to make sure that they're not like pre-guessing anything. So the way to diagnose cancer is with a blood test, mostly or generally. So I had a blood test on Monday. I went in on Thursday with the results. And like I said in my video, and it's I suppose doctors probably diagnose people on a regular basis, but it was kind of like in one sentence he said, you have testicular cancer, you will go through chemotherapy, and you will have surgery to have your testicle removed. And I just like the way I am red now, I just went white. I just like grabbed the chair. I was like, holy crap, in a sense, your whole world is turned upside down and kind of thinking, nothing is certain. You don't know what's going to happen. So on Monday, I had the scan, and the results that it had spread. So it had spread into my stomach, and there was a tumor in my stomach. And then from there, as a kind of very quick summary, I suppose, or in a way, is I was pulled into a room with a nurse who was really nice, and she's been kind of my guidance throughout it all. Was, you'll have 4 cycles of chemotherapy, which is poison in your poison injected into your body to get rid of worse poison is the way, the best way to describe it. So that was 10 weeks. Not gonna lie, wasn't pretty. Lost my hair. It was
Why
tough.
do you like what is the actual process of chemotherapy, and why do you lose your hair?
So
And
what
does your hair
chemotherapy
grow
does?
back?
It's growing. You can sort of see it growing back now, but so what chemotherapy does is it's actually it's metal in a liquid form, and it basically is injected into your system, so it goes into your bloodstream, and it basically kills rapidly growing cells. So what cancer is, in a very short and condensed form, is that it's an unnatural growth of unnecessary cells, basically, in a biological standpoint, and that turns into a tumor, which does worse things as like shutting down systems of, like, you know, you have lung cancer that will shut down your lungs, and liver cancer that will shut down your liver. And the process of chemotherapy is to reduce down the tumor, or to kill it, or to reduce it down to a size that's not harmful, basically. So what a day of chemotherapy is you go in the morning. I was in at 8:30. And the worst part of the day was getting hooked up to a needle. So a needle goes into your arm. And I had the option to get a port in, which is where a needle, like a permanent line, goes into your side of your neck. And that's connected to your main artery going to your heart. But that's a whole other operation, which I didn't want to have. So a needle is injected into your arm, you put on fluids. So a normal day is you have 3 liters of fluids injected into you. So it's a liter of hydration fluids to make sure your body's hydrated and ready to take the chemotherapy. And then you're given tablets to protect your stomach. Most days I was on 2 liter bags. And I had chemotherapy called BEP, which is Bliosemin eptomoside, I think, and cisplatin is the names of it. And that's like injected into you, and it's really strange because you're just sitting there in a chair, like with a cannula into like a bag that's just sitting over you. And it's ironic because when you're finished and you go home for the day, so I was allowed home. Some people have to stay in hospital, but I was allowed home, and you just go home and you are wreck tired. You are like, I can't even explain how tired. Like, how it's like you run a marathon every single day. I don't know. I haven't run a marathon, but like that's how I can describe it. You know, it's ironic because you're just sitting there. You're not burning any energy. You're just hooked up to a machine with like fluids in you. So that, like, first week was Monday to Friday, intense every day. Then week 2 was just Tuesday with the one type of chemotherapy. And then week 3 was the one type of chemotherapy on the Tuesday. And that was only like a half an hour. It wasn't like an hour, or like, I think it's only like 500 milliliters or something. And then that's one cycle. So that 3-week kind of block is one cycle for me anyway. And I had 4 of them. And so on the last week, you don't have the Tuesday, you don't have the last week. So that's why it was 10 weeks. If there's like confusion of people why it said 10 weeks and 4 cycles, doesn't make sense. It's 10 weeks. Yeah. So that's
so like in terms of a timeline, when were you diagnosed? When did you start chemo? And when did you finish chemo?
So I was diagnosed on the 30th of January or the 31st. I never remember. It's the Thursday of that month, of the last Thursday of
this year.
Of this year, yeah. And then I started chemotherapy on the 10th of February. And my last day of chemotherapy was 10 weeks after that, which I don't remember the date. I actually can't remember. But I'm like 6 weeks finished chemotherapy. So, you know, I'm on the other side, and when I was initially diagnosed, you're given a list of symptoms of, you know, you'll lose your hair, you'll be tired, you'll lose your weight, you might have diarrhea, constipation, you might be frustrated, all these kind of symptoms. And when I was initially diagnosed, I was like, oh, I'm going to be like a shell of a human. I'm going to be, you know, I'm just going to lay in bed all day. But in reality, it really isn't. And I think that people that don't know or have never like been in contact with someone with cancer or went through chemotherapy, the idea that I had as well was that it's like you're in this really weird room, and you kind of, as soon as like you get chemotherapy, you get sick. And I never got sick. And I think initially when people were getting chemotherapy like years ago, was they didn't really know what they were doing. But now it's so refined, and you have all these tablets for all these symptoms, and it's a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. It's the best
Right.
way I can describe it.
But is there no, what's the success rate with chemotherapy in terms of getting rid of cancer? And I presume it varies dependent on what cancer you have.
So yeah, initially when I was diagnosed, the doctor said to me, "You have testicular cancer." So, and he laughed when he said it, was that it's the best type of cancer to get. I was like, "What do you mean?" Like,
Who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah, it's like, why are you telling me it's good to have cancer? No, I'm kidding. He said that it's a really high success rate if you're diagnosed with cancer to be cured. So some cancers they can control it, but for me it was curable, which means they can get rid of the tumor, they can get rid of the cancer in my system. And once I was told that, like, it's all right, let's just get the show on the road. Let's go through chemotherapy. Let's get surgery done and over it. The success rate was like 95% with me, so, or above 95%. And they tend not to see like a reoccurrence with testicular cancer once you go through chemotherapy and once you go through surgery. Like, it's a very, very, very low chance to get like it for it to appear in the other testicle or to have a different type of cancer, which is good. And that was like, that kind of, when the doctor told me that, was that, okay, that's fine, I can live with that. Once I was told it was curable, I was like, okay, let's just get it done and over with, basically.
Yeah. And does it, you were saying before the call there that you're getting your surgery tomorrow to remove your right testicle. Why do they remove the right one, or can you remove the left one either? And I presume it feels very weird to look down at your balls and be like, this is the last day I have two of these guys.
Yeah, exactly. So the reason why they remove it is, so there's a burnt out tumor on my testicle, and the reason why they remove it is to make it as like an extra precaution for it to come back. So that tumor might reignite like a volcano. Basically, it might like become active again and like spread cancer into my system again. So they kind of make sure that to remove it, there's no chance of it coming back, which is, I suppose, good. And they actually offered me to get like not a prostate in. I keep saying prostate. That's a different thing altogether. And like a fake one in. And I said no, because I don't like anything fake.
Would that be literally like an implant in?
Yeah, it's like a silicone like ball, basically.
Like getting a boob job before your balls.
Exactly. A ball job. But I decided not to get that because that might burst. And there's like, people get it, and it's like there's nothing wrong with getting it. But for me, I'd rather not have one, cool. Just for my own sake.
And does that affect you, like having children or anything, or like?
Yeah. So actually, another thing I never talked about was that before chemotherapy starts, I sperm banked, which is basically you put your sperm into a cup and it's frozen, and they test it to make sure that your sperm is all good and it's all healthy and natural, and it's frozen for 10 years. So my my sperm is in the Rotunda hospital, like safe and stored away. So I can, as well as that, as chemotherapy as well, it kills rapidly growing cells, like we said. So it can kill your sperm cells because they're rapidly growing. They're all the time being produced. So there is a chance that you might become infertile. And as well as that, you have one less ball. So you're also a lot less sperm in your
sperm count is down. Yeah.
Yeah. Much less than normal. So I can have kids as well, but it's through IVF. Yeah, way.
Let's go, baby. little Adam's running around.
Yeah. So that was good. It was all like kind of sorted for me. Like, I was just kind of told to go to Rotunda, go donate your sperm, or not donate, but like put your sperm into a cup and it's frozen. And it's like, I had like a talk with this, I don't even know what they're called, just like a guidance person, basically. And it's like, if you have any questions or, you know, if you have any problems, like you can come contact us, and I have a girlfriend for 6 years, and, you know, she can come in and ask her own questions if she has any kind of queries about it. And it was tested, and it's 100% healthy, and it's like almost guaranteed for 10 years. So I'm 20 now, so I can have kids in a sense until I'm 30. But like, I can have another test after I have surgery to see if I am fertile or not. And if I'm not, then happy days. And if I am, I have that kind of precaution of having my sperm in a test tube, basically.
That's
So,
class, isn't it? That
yeah.
like technology is available to do stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think if this happened years ago, this wouldn't have been an option. It would just have been even just chemotherapy and surgery. Like, at least I have that kind of security in the back of my mind that like I can still have kids, which is a good thing. And as to add to that as well, my uncle went through the exact same thing. Testicular cancer, went through chemotherapy, had surgery, and he's like, I think 5 or 6 years clear, which is like the test mark, or the kind of, once you've like, if you have, how do I say this? So 5 years after you've had your surgery and after you've had chemotherapy, you're given the all like 5-year clear, which is like they're guaranteed it's not going to come back. And he just had a baby as well, which is like,
That's amazing.
my role model to like be like him. So I can be, basically, I can see, I talked to him about chemotherapy and surgery and IVF and that kind of thing, which was interesting. So
Is testicular cancer one of those cancers that can be sort of run in the family type thing, or?
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
And
yeah,
like, would you
unfortunately
have
it is.
known about, would you have, like, obviously you know your uncle, but like,
Hmm.
would your mom have ever said to you growing up that like, I don't know your uncle's name, but like your uncle, whatever, has this, so, you know, there's a chance you might get it, or was that even a conversation?
No, not really. So I would have been 15 or 14 at the time. And so I don't know, not necessarily. I don't think, you know, if you tell everyone you might have cancer, there's kind of like a precaution of like,
Oh my
no,
God.
we're all going to get, we're all going to get cancer, basically. So I think it's just, you know, kind of live and say you're probably not going to get cancer. They said like testicular cancer is rare, but it's the most common cancer in young men aged between 15 and 34. And approximately 180 men are diagnosed with testicular cancer every year, and is very treatable and is nearly always curable. So that was the word I was thinking of, is treatable. That's why the doctor said it's the best cancer to get, in a sense, which is, it's funny to say. It's really weird to say, you know, no one should ever be diagnosed with cancer. And it's like, you know, it's a horrible disease, but that kind of like reassurance was kind of, it was funny and kind of nice to hear as well. So yeah.
So I guess now that you're almost clear of it, what do you think has changed about yourself, perspective wise, having gone through this process? Yeah,
That's a good question. I think, and that was a question I got on my video as well, was that, you know, initially, okay, your whole world is turned upside down. Nothing is certain. You know, I was thinking like I was going to die next week initially, because actually when they said like my levels of cancer in my body were really, really high, like they were quite concerned. So my perspective is now like, you know, and it's really like typical or cliche to say, but you know, life can change quickly, you know, like a drop of a hat, something really strange or really bad can happen. So, you know, live every day. It's really strange to say, but live every day as if it's your last, or make the most out of life. And one thing I can see I've changed is like not to argue about small things in life. Like I hear people complaining about not being able to have McDonald's, or, you know, with the lockdown, like, you know, such a small issue, you know, people go through bigger things. And I kind of think it's unhealthy to argue about such things that don't really matter in life, which is, I don't know if that's my perspective. So small arguments are never, I don't really have small arguments with anyone really. Be grateful is a good way, a good kind of way to sum it all up, is be grateful to still be alive and still be able to walk around is the best way to put it, I suppose.
What are you most looking forward to doing now? Obviously, if we weren't in quarantine when you were done with your surgery, you could go off and do whatever you want. But I guess, what are you looking forward to doing now, and like, what are your plans for the future?
Well, now is I actually still did college work during chemotherapy, which was tough, really tough. I actually didn't. So I had 6 modules, and I did 2 of them, and I hopefully will pass them. So my obviously aim next year is like to finish college and hopefully like get that done and out of the way. And it's also like typical and cliche to say, but I do want to travel, and I don't want to. The way we all are now is like sitting inside doing nothing, and it's kind of we're all just in the same boat in a sense. But I do want to travel, and I'm watching a lot of programs about traveling and kind of seeing like there's so many things out there that we haven't explored or seen, and it's kind of like, why would you sit at home and just do nothing? Like, what's the point in that? You may as well go travel and kind of see the world and that kind of thing. So I know that's really cliche to say, so in a sense,
I know, but man, like, it's your truth,
yeah,
isn't it? Like, it's what you've
yeah,
come
exactly.
to. I guess that's the whole point of this interview, is like, we all are told about what happens when we fail and stuff, and when we have setbacks, but like, you had a very real setback, and it's interesting to just hear what were some of the conclusions you came to.
Yeah,
And
I
like,
think
they're cliche for a reason,
I think like the best way to describe it is like, I don't want to be limited by the fact that I had cancer. That's like maybe a good way. I don't want to be like, oh, I can't do this because I had cancer. Like, I don't I don't want anything to be in my way, basically. Like, after surgery or before surgery, I asked my doctors, like, when can I run again, basically, because I had plans to, like, before I was diagnosed, to run a marathon this summer. Obviously that's not going to happen now, but even maybe next summer or whatever. So like, that was like, I don't want to be limited. It's the best way I can say it. It's like, I don't want to be told I can't do that because I had cancer, basically. Is like, I don't want to be say, oh, you can't travel, or you can't do such a thing, you can't talk about that because you had cancer or whatever. Like, screw that. Like, I'm no the only different about me is that I have one less testicle. is the best is what I can say. So yeah.
And what advice would you give to? So I'm already feeling my balls now, so I'm trying to, like, I think it's a great point, because like, sexual education in Ireland is very poor.
Yeah.
Obviously the internet is great in some ways, in that kids can just Google whatever they want, but porn is as easily accessible as general information about sexual health, and they probably don't really know where to look and stuff. And I think in terms of, like, I remember when I was in 6th class getting the sex ed talk, when year 1 talked about checking your penis every so often and like cleaning it.
Yeah.
I remember saying that to my friends, we'd all laugh and stuff, and obviously nobody's talking about how to check themselves. So I guess, did you get any tips from that, and what should young lads be doing to make sure that they're there's nothing creeping up on them, I guess?
Yeah. So I think every lad is the same. Like, it's an awkward issue if you never, like, was never told about it as a kid or even younger than that. But like, I think the main thing I can say to people or lads in general is that, like, you know your own body, if there's something not right. And if you go through like sex ed and that kind of thing, you're told, and I hope people like understand, like, and I understood it, like, if you feel a lump, go get it checked. And I think regularly do check, and do, I didn't always check. I only checked until I saw something wrong, and thank God it wasn't too late for me. But regularly do check. It doesn't have to be every day, it doesn't have to be every week, but like, we were told once a month, just feel around, and if there's something not right, get it checked, basically. And people text me or ask me, is like, I'm not going to go to a doctor, I'm not going to have a man doctor feel my testicles, like, that's, I'm not going to do that. But like, have a doctor check your testicle and see if you have testicular cancer or die from cancer. It's not that huge of a thing. Like, and I told other people, said, like, it's literally less than 10 seconds. He's a quick feel around, and that's it. If there's nothing there, he'll tell you. If there is something there, you go get it checked, and then the process goes on from there. So I tell them it's really not awkward. It's, I think you'll go through more awkward things in life. So I do hope that the kind of message I get across is that, like, if you feel something strange, get it checked is the best way I can say. And I think most people know their own body to say, I had that sharp pain. I don't know if there's other symptoms or whatnot. So if there's something not right, just go to a doctor or go get it checked is the best way I can
Cool.
just say about it. Yeah.
Yeah, Adam, I think it is really inspirational. I remember you saying to me you didn't know how much you wanted to share just in general about your story, but it is very inspirational to see someone open up about it, particularly a guy, because stereotypically we find it very hard to talk about our feelings and also about failures and things that didn't end up going right for us. And you were dealt a set of cards these past few months that were obviously very difficult, and you've pulled through, and it's very brave of you to talk about your story. And for someone who only got to meet you in 2017, it's just incredible to see. And I think this video hopefully will, there's 180 people diagnosed every year. Hopefully one or two of them could see this and know that there's hope. And I just think you're amazing, man. So well done.
Yeah, thanks, man. I really appreciate it. Yeah, so at least, like, and also with cancer, the quicker you detect it, the quicker you can get it cured or get it treated. Like, there is a point where it is beyond no return. So at least if you feel that lump and get it checked, it might be at a good stage for you to get it sorted. So that's like the good thing. So that was hopefully the message we got across.
Wow, thanks a million.
Yeah.
So that was the interview. Adam was incredibly brave to do it. As of recording today, he is getting surgery to get his right testicle removed, which obviously is so shit. But on the other hand, it's fantastic that by doing that, they can prevent the spread of it, and that there's a very small chance that he'll ever pick it up again. If you want to follow Adam's channel, I will link it in the description. And I hope you learn some stuff, and I hope you can take that forward. Lads, once a month, stick your hand down your jocks, which you're probably already doing already at night time. Check your balls, make sure there's no lumps, and that way we will help prevent and get quicker diagnosis of testicular cancer, not only in Ireland, but in the world. See you next time.